Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Let's Play the London Commuter live stream. Joined by Matt tonight, exec producer for our Trains games, Train Sim World 2 in particular. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
I'm JD, and thanks for joining us tonight. We are going to be doing a Let's Play, so it's going to be a little bit more chilled tonight than perhaps us showing everything that we can possibly do crammed into a very short live stream. We're going to do perhaps about an hour and a bit tonight, where we're going to just sort of sit back. We're going to take some of your questions while we play through the route and enjoy what we're doing. So we're on an Series X tonight, so we are on an Xbox. So Matt is on his controller, he is getting everything set up, and we are nearly ready to go. Matt, are we logging in and good?
Why isn't it?
I was going to say, I was seeing there was a warning disconnected warning on there, but
What are you doing? The controllers. Sorry, this is just let me deactivate that and activate that, and hey, there you go.
There we go. What are we doing tonight then, Matt?
Right, we are going to start off. Let me pause it a minute. We're going to start off running Victoria to Ryegate, and then I thought we'd do a little bit with the 166 actually, and just a little bit down the Ryegate line, and then we'll see how time takes us.
Nice one. Okay. And shall we kill our face cams?
Face cams can be killed. There we go.
Wonderful. And just before we start, everybody, some people are having a great time, really enjoying the route. We're aware that there are some players that are having a few issues, particularly on previous gen consoles and PlayStation 5. So what we are hoping to do is gather as much information as we possibly can do from you, so that we can better diagnose what the issue might be in terms of performance, and we can really kind of hone in on where we might be able to solve it most quickly, and therefore get a fix out to you as quickly as we humanly can do. So Matt's put together a forum thread asking for some there we go. Asking for some support and some advice. We'd be really grateful if you could head over there if you are having any problems related to performance or services or timetables or anything like that, and just let us know in there with as much detail as you possibly can do. I've put it in Restream. Don't know if it's gone through to everybody, so I'd appreciate if any of the mods are in the chat, if you could just put it in there now so that we can. There we go. Thank you, Derek. Put that in there so that everybody can take a look. But thank you very much for everybody who has been playing and offered feedback so far. We're really loving what you're sending over to us, and also the people who are sending us really constructive feedback. That's great as well. It helps us to be able to diagnose what some of you are experiencing issues with.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix audio. I'm assuming no one can hear audio. There's no evidence of audio coming through. Because why would it?
No audio. Yep.
No audio. Yeah.
Which is a shame, because these are all new sounds, as we've spoken about in a couple of the preview streams as well.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Why would you expect it to work?
So yeah, please, if just while Matt's having a play around in the back end, I'll go on a little ramble. Yeah. So there are a couple of issues with the launch as well earlier on. I'm not going to kind of dwell on those too much, because it looks like we're all kind of good and everybody's got the latest access to the builds, but there was a slight problem with a couple of the day one patches getting stuck in the Sony and Microsoft funnels of joy, and yeah, a couple of people or a few players were getting the earlier builds. That should all be sorted now. So if you were playing sort of midnight to about 2 p.m. UK time on PlayStation 5, or if you were playing between midnight and about 11:30 UK time on Xbox, you should see another update by this point, and it should be the updated build.
Oh, is that what? Right. Do we have audio now? Is there audio? I can hear audio. Can you hear audio?
I can never hear audio, Matt, so you're asking the wrong person, but hopefully the chat will be able to. We have audio, there we go.
Wow. GG there, OBS, because I'm not seeing the audio on the meters, which is great. That's really helpful. Thanks. Slide out the doors. I can hear audio now, which is a reasonably good sign. Yeah, so the reason, sorry for this being a little bit shakier than normal, is that the last time I tried to stream via the streaming system, which is how I stream consoles, it blue screened and the machine died horribly and hasn't been used since, which is the main reason we've been using PCs. Because I hadn't fixed the machine up, and everybody rightly wanted to have a console demo tonight, and when I tried to fire up the streaming software, it was utterly corrupt. So I've installed some new software, and well, it's going well. So at least you can hear it now. Right, let's get going.
Let's do that.
I don't think it's working. The audio is coming through as clearly as I'd like it to, but it's coming through. So some of the noises that you can hear there, I'm assuming you can hear them, are because of how it's doing the audio. Yep, safety systems are on, Nicholas Pace. I always drive with safety systems on. It's where all the comedy comes from.
So Matt, sorry, just to reiterate again, what's the service that we're going to be doing today?
So this service here is, let me pop this up, is the 1 Romeo 14 London Victoria to Ryegate service.
Wonderful. Should we get the map up?
Sure, there's the map. Lots of stuff going on around Victoria. Coming across the southwest main line to Clapham. And heading all the way down the Brighton Main Line. Corrie and Redhill lines until you get to Brighton.
Wonderful. So one of the kind of the hallmarks of this route is the traffic on the route and the amount of other locos that you're going to be seeing as you go through. Last night on the stream we were lucky enough to see an HST completely by chance in one of the scenarios, or one of the services that we did last night. But as I say, you should be seeing quite a few different locos over the course of this particular stream, as we've got AI traffic and whatnot. I think there are about 1,400 services. Previous gen consoles around about 1,200.
A Crazy Killer said, why is the big billboard missing from Clapham? It should be there. What platform are you on, Crazy Killer? In fact, if you look at the previous streams, I usually call it out when we go by because it's awesome. And I quite like the inspiring phrase that Derek put on it.
A couple of people are asking about the updates and things like that. There was a Steam update around about 2 o'clock, and then we put another one live soon afterwards, which then reduced the pack files, so that it compressed the files so that it didn't take up quite as much room in your library. It's
quite a substantial saving because they were 20 gigabytes each, and they're now only 7 gigabytes each. So it was well worth doing, just to save all that space. I only realised it once it had gone live and saw these enormous files in the file system. Yeah.
A couple of people just said about the issues that players are having. Yeah, we're not trying to brush them under the carpet. That's why we address them at the front of the live stream. We are aware that people are having issues. The best way that we're going to be able to solve those issues is through information at this stage. So because we have so many, this is quite a complex timetable. There are lots of different things that are going on with it. It makes it very much easier for us to identify what those issues are if we've got information from you guys at home. And we appreciate, as I said, we don't want you guys to be beta testers or anything like that. That's not how this works at all. We know that, and that's not what should happen by any means. This is at the point where we're at the moment, and we'd like to be able to get fixes out to you as soon as we possibly can do. With that though, we're going to need to get the information so we can start to narrow down where in particular we are finding that, say for instance, there's a lot of memory being used at a particular area. Is there a particular thing that's going on that's meaning that people are experiencing a spike or something like that, which is causing a crash, for instance. So there's a lot to be said for us picking up that information, and Matt's put together a forum where we're trying to pull together that information over the course of the next few days, with the hope that, as I say, that will then end up allowing us to drill down a little bit more into what the individual issues are, because obviously we don't want this to go out. We don't want people to be having issues like this. We of course want people to be able to enjoy the update as much as we possibly can do, and we know there are some people out there that are, but we would like to be able to keep that kind of limbo period as small as possible for those people that are experiencing problems.
Yes.
And things like say Witty username 64 just put, well, the frame rate is unbearably low at Victoria for one thing. That's a really good piece of feedback. What would be really great is if we can understand, say, are you on a particular service? Are you putting any actions in particular? Are you completing any particular actions? Have you got what particular setup have you got going on there? That would be really helpful for us to be able to identify, so we can isolate it down.
Yeah, is it scenario? Is it service planner? Is it scenario planner? Is it service mode? You know, these are the more information you can give, the better. Matt Jamka, the solid third rails. I'm going to look into that. Actually, I saw your post on the forums about that, and I've made up. There's a note sitting on my panel, my notepad here to make inquiries about that, because they absolutely should not have collision on them, and if they do, that's going to contribute to a fair bit of memory usage going on. So I am going to get that looked into, and if it is the case, then we will we'll get that one bulk regenerated to get shot of them, because they certainly shouldn't be like that. Just looking back at something that somebody else said, actually. I think it was Ron Summerhill. Yes, Ron Summerhill. Xbox Series X crashes at Brighton when going to outside view on the first journey scenario. Ron, if you are on the forums, on the Dovetail forums, can you DM me the details of that so that I can look into that? Because that's it sounds like a really easy thing for us to reproduce and potentially fix, or hopefully fix. So if you can message me that so that I don't lose sight of that one, and then I can once I know more, I can get back to you. This is shipping build, so a couple of people asked, is this rush hour passengers turned on? No, this is the build that went out.
Yeah, and I would say, and again, Matt, I'm speaking probably on your behalf here, I guess, but I would say we probably wouldn't put the passengers live until we've sorted some of the performance issues.
No, at this point, given the feedback we're seeing, it's just going to make it worse. So we're going to investigate what's going on. So a few people are looking at the feedback tonight. Joe has been looking through feedback, and we think we've identified one timetable issue that's come up. So we are paying attention. We're looking at it as fast as we can to try and work out what's going on with these issues. The priority's got to fix the underlying issues, and then we can turn the passengers on.
Yeah.
We don't want to make it worse.
Yeah. So we're not trying to sweep it under the carpet. Which is the reason why we're doing, as I say, why we're doing the live stream in the way that we're doing it tonight is because we don't want to necessarily say, hey, this is what you can enjoy, because we know that's not necessarily the case for everybody at the moment. We're putting this on there today because we want people to be able to see what it looks like on Xbox Series X, but also to be able to answer some of your questions that we've already that we're seeing kind of crop up, say, on the forums quite regularly as well. Tyler's asked, is there a way to contact after? I suppose it depends what it's about, but if it's related to what we've just talked about, then you can direct message myself or Matt on the forums if that's easier.
Please do.
I'm DTGJD, and you're Matt-Trainsim or Trainsim-Matt. I can't never remember.
Trainsim-Matt, if I remember right. You'll see me. I post all over the place.
Yeah. We're on the Xbox Series X tonight, Johan. So we are moving away from PC that we've been on for the last couple of preview streams, and I think Matt explained why we weren't on console for last night's stream at any rate. So
yes, did I ignore a DSD? I did, Leon. You know me, don't pay attention to what I'm doing.
Blame chat.
I definitely feel this is appropriate. And I'm trying to make sure I pick up as much as possible from the... Can we have louder in-game volume? Let me check this, because to be honest, with the way the streaming setup is at the moment, see, this is why it's not very loud. Let me crank that up.
There we go. Cheeky thing called volume control.
How very dare it.
You didn't hear the DSD. That's what it was, man, wasn't it? The volume wasn't high enough.
I'm still blaming chat.
So yeah, we'll probably come back to that conversation in a second. It's something that we know will kind of rumble on for until we can get these things fixed. We're not trying to brush anything under the carpet.
No, definitely not. We want to look into the issues, and so feel free to send me a message directly. But we had, as JD said, we've got the thread for timetable support issues, and if you could put everything that you're finding in there in as much detail as I've asked for in there, that will make it a lot quicker. That worked really well actually in helping to diagnose problems on Dresden. So basically it's a repeat of the same thing here to try and understand what you're seeing in various places on there. The one that we've actually found, that Joe's found already, is just a really odd one where a train, you get red lights going into Brighton in a certain time of day, and for some reason the train is just spawning and immediately failing to go anywhere, and it locks the route up. So that's good, we found that one. So one of the problems with having 4,000 services in there is you start at different times of day and things might behave slightly differently in some cases, and sometimes it's difficult to spot all of these variations.
Yeah. Taze asks, is there freight on this?
2 services.
2 services, yeah. I
Only if you've got East Coast Way.
Yeah.
So they uses the 66 and the JNAs, is it, from East Coast Way?
Yeah. Transport asks, is there a reason why we never stream on last gen anymore?
Not really. I think we could do. I've got them both here, yeah. So
I think there's the reason is particularly when we're doing things like previous streams, you obviously want to try and show. And this isn't us trying to deflect away from anything. This is wanting to try and showcase all of the different facets of the route that are going to sort of show the kind of the highlights of the route and kind of the work that's gone into it and the things that we've really kind of tried to push with this particular update. Now we could do 4 or 5 preview streams on different consoles, but you might get quite bored of that after a while. So we try and kind of limit ourselves to doing 2 preview streams, and that means to say maybe there's something in future that we can do, which is like a 9th gen console or a PC, and then we do one of them on a lower end or an 8th gen console as well, so you can see what the comparison looks like.
Yeah, it's feedback we can take on for future streams.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any rail tours on this, Cameron asked? No, there is not. There's quite a comprehensive list of services. It is 1,400, so we didn't quite get round to it for this particular route.
No, there's no rail tour. Joe focused on the core services of the route, and that was enough in terms of doing it.
Russian Doge, could the mods pin the link to the forums? It's in the PC discussion forums pinned, so if you want to try and find that thread, it's there. Apparently someone's Discord audio is on. I'm going to guess that might be yours, Matt.
It could be. I'm not entirely sure what running on what machine at this point. It's, I thought I'd shut Discord down on this machine. I have. Oh no, I haven't. Ah, there it is. Boom. Right, that should be that problem solved.
Lovely. Gareth asked if the service is on here the full normal timetable.
The Series X runs the PC timetable, and I've got all of the other DLCs on here, so this is running the full 1450 services, yeah. Elite Freemason, yeah, okay, this is a fair question. So it's $24.99 for Next and Old Gen, but Old Gen don't get the extra services like Next does. Basically, what you're paying for with the route is the kind of the core route that you would see. So the 387 or 377, 387, and all the services those entail, which are the 1,200 services that are involved, those locals are involved in over the course of the route, plus also the route, the other bits and pieces of the route. In terms of layering, that is more of a bonus, I would say, in terms of the additional opportunities offered. Now we are looking at what we can do in terms of layering for previous gen consoles. Sorry, my computer has just decided that it wants to do something weird. We are looking at what we can do for previous gen consoles in terms of offering
different things potentially, but they are still discussions at this stage. They're not anything that we've confirmed as of yet, but we are aware that whilst we want to try and push the boundaries with next gen consoles, we don't want to leave previous gen consoles behind. And Matt, you were talking yesterday about actually for this particular route, it might not seem like it at the moment, but we probably spent more time looking at how we can bring up the quality of the previous gen consoles than we perhaps did with the next gen consoles.
Oh yeah, we've spent very little time looking at the next gen consoles in comparison. So a lot of our time has been spent on the older console and getting the most we can out of that. And part of that was unfortunately the decision to drop the extra layers because they were causing their own quite significant problems as well. So I mean, it's always going to be the case that a Gen 9 and console is going to do more than a Gen 8 console. It's a Series X will outperform an Xbox One, and there's nothing you can really do about that. And so the options really are hold everything back or separate them out. Try and still do as good as you can on the Xbox One, and then do more on the Series X. And that sometimes means that there are going to be more layers on the Series X, PS5, than there are going to be on the older consoles. And it's just because there's more memory, there's more CPU to do more things. Now, we will try our best to not get in that situation, but if the option is well, it's just not going to fit in the memory, then you end up basically either holding it back for everybody or doing it and then just having a separate filter for it on the other consoles. So it's difficult and it's not something we want to do, but it helps keep everything moving forward. Cool.
Liam, Max, a couple of other people have mentioned this as well about we'll probably see this when we get into Ryegate actually. There is, by the looks of things, a level crossing that is not there, or that should be there.
At Ryegate,
so,
yes.
At Ryegate.
I've seen the forum posts about that and the photographs, so again, I'm going to add that to the list of things I'm going to talk with the team about.
Yes. I think we need to make like a map pad or something like that where we've got a list of things that we, over the course of the stream, we say that, okay, we're going to try and investigate what's going
I need
what's
a PA,
going on.
someone who can record all of the notes.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. Yeah, notes of the live stream. That would be wonderful. And then displaying them for everybody to see as well, so that they knew what was going on as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Barry asked if you have a PS4, does the game automatically transfer over if you buy a PS5? Not at the moment. Your profile will not transfer over. We are looking at what we can do to try and facilitate that movement between PS4 and PS5, but at the moment they are treated as two separate games and your progress won't transfer over.
Your ownership transfers over, so you can go onto your PS5 and install the game,
yes.
But your progress won't.
Yes, sorry. That's a very good clarification. Thank you, Matt.
You don't have to buy the game again. And you'll get the PS5 version as well without having to buy anything else. But yeah, it's all great story until you realise you don't get to keep your profile, and that's terrible. Yeah. So that hasn't been forgotten, by the way.
Yeah, Dion's asked how come the East Coast Way Class 367 doesn't get the new updated sounds. That would be a job for Adam's preservation crew team. I don't imagine it's something they're going to immediately look at, but because we've made the changes to, it's not just a case of copying and pasting them into a new loco that's on that same route. There have been changes that have been made throughout the 377 that, unless you do it in the right way, would break East Coast Way probably as it stands. So it would probably be something that Adam's team would take a look at because it's probably out of the scope of this particular route.
Yeah, it's a separate train. It might be the same, same class and all the rest of it, but in the game it's a separate train, and it needs someone to go in and do that. Now, it's obvious we want to do that. You want us to do that, so it's on Adam's list to get to when he can, and I'd like to get to it as soon as possible, really, because it will help. Yeah. You'll enjoy East Coast Way more with the better 377.
Yeah, absolutely. Lena asked, will we be driving the 387 today?
Depending on how long we go for, potentially, yes.
Okay, cool.
That's how long we end up.
Brad's asked what we're on. We are on a Xbox Series X tonight.
This is Series X. There you go, look.
There we go. Proof if you didn't already believe us.
I could wave my controller at the camera that isn't turned on, and it wouldn't make any difference because you can use them on a PC. So.
Whitworth Limes asked any news on the Xbox textures glitch fix. We have a fix. It was quite a complex one, quite a complex issue. We believe we found a fix. It's just going through testing at the moment. So depending on the outcome of that testing, we're hopeful we can get that in front of you sooner rather than later, because we know it's a pain. And we want to try and make sure again that you've got the best experience that you can have. So we'll try and make sure that we can get that through as soon as possible. But there is, say, long story short, there is a fix that we think. We're just putting it through testing.
Actually, Brad, how does the Series S perform through playing on 1080p? So, actually, I'm going to throw that one back out to people who've got the Series S. You can either set it to 4K or to, is it HD, I think it comes up as. If you're having problems with it and you're set on 4K, can you try it in HD and let me know how you get on, whether that improves things or not? I'm going to get the internal team doing that as well, but I'd like to get wider feedback on that one as well. So let me know, let me know what that does for you, because we've had some people saying that, for example, on Dresden, some of the crashes on there, I think it was a forum post saying that if you turn it back to HD, it seems to work better. Now that'll be because it'll be using lower resolution textures probably, so it doesn't surprise me, but it'd be good to know, if that helps at all.
Yeah, and obviously I've used the word workaround quite a lot over the course of the last week, but it might be a workaround if you are having some problems. In terms, again, it's not the solution, but it might be a workaround in the interim.
Yeah.
Oh no, Matt, oh no.
Oh no, I'm overspeeding. What a surprise. Said nobody. And not overspeeding anymore, it never happened.
Yeah. One of the other things that's worth noting, if you're providing feedback around the issues that you're experiencing, it'd be really good to know how many add-ons you have as well. That would be really useful for us to know as well, because obviously we are seeing people on the same platform say they've got very, very different experiences, so that there is a problem finding side of things that we need to try and work out here. So if you have a lot of add-ons in your library, can you please, if you're commenting on that forum thread, let us know if that's the case as well, because that might also impact. It shouldn't do, but it might do.
Well, you see, the way that Unreal works is that every piece of DLC you have installed will consume a bit of memory, whether you're using it or not. And it may be that if you're someone who's it's running great for and you don't have much DLC, and someone else who it's running really badly for and they've got lots of DLC, again, we can feed that into what we're, so that then we can try and set our Xbox or something or a console with that level of DLC on it, and then we can go and find out what the situation is compared to one without that, and see if that's, is that contributing to the problem? Because if so, then that will give us an idea of where we need to, the next step of where we need to be investigating. Because I can see Tube fans saying it's working great on his Series S, which is great. But other people are saying it's not. So there's a difference going on the same console, and so I'm trying to work out what the variables are there, because in theory, two Series S's should run the same. That's kind of the point. So
it's all about us trying to limit the variables, isn't it? At the moment, we've probably got about 8 or 9 different variables that could possibly be impacting, and we want to try and work out and knock out each of them one by one, so that we can then identify what the root of the issue is.
Totally.
And Kaiser Play said it wouldn't be a stream if Matt didn't speed. I completely agree.
Yes. I've got to speed, miss a station, open the wrong doors. There's almost a bingo list of Matt fails. Yeah. Oh god, that's going to become a thing now, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it's already a bingo card, to be fair. We haven't said it's not on the roadmap yet, though, although I did just say it. So
he didn't say it in context, though, so I don't think it counts.
So it doesn't count, but don't worry, we've got it going. So there is a good question from Thelonious, and I was going to ask this actually myself, Matt, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here, but Do we think that given with the rush hour releases, we've seen some performance issues perhaps on all of them? Do we think that this has perhaps been have we bitten off more than we can chew with this update, or is it a case of us trying to be a bit more finding our feet with new platforms and sort of getting to the point which is where it's not trial and error per se, but it's us learning new things as we're going through?
I think there's a number of factors potentially, and one of them is new toy syndrome, possibly, in that the new platforms have come out, and so there's been a desire to put your best foot forward and do your best on those platforms. And I think possibly, what that's meant is that the other platforms haven't really had the focus that they would have had previously. So that's one thing. We've already been discussing that in terms of what we're going to do in terms of re-reviewing these three and polishing and improving those ones. But also what we're going to do going forwards is try, put the other platforms back in a higher pedestal than they apparently have got to, which wasn't a conscious decision, because as I said, the oldest consoles are still very much in our minds, and they're fully supported. So this shouldn't have happened, but it has, so we want to understand, where has that happened in the chain, because they are used in QA. It's I see some tickets coming through with issues that get fixed on all the platforms. So. I'm trying, we need to dig into that. But so some of it is, we've been quite adventurous. It's London, Brighton, Dresden. We, lots of trains, lots of passengers, and it's just like, actually, what we need to do. Again, this is where the two systems need to diverge. Is this route is running? This is running exactly the same route as runs on an Xbox One. Maybe what runs on an Xbox One needs to have fewer vertices, and it needs to have simpler textures and so forth, so that it can still deliver a strong frame rate without compromising the whole experience. Because trying to run all the full detailed models is just not going to work, and I think that's what we're seeing.
So playing 3D rather than 4D chess, maybe.
Well, exactly. The trick is going to be to do that and still look good. It's not just a question of make everything look really basic. That's the wrong answer as well. And similarly with the service mode, I think this service mode is probably too adventurous, for the older consoles. And it may be that actually that if we were to do this again in future, we would have cut it even further on the older one, because this timetable does consume an awful lot of CPU while it's running, and I think that's possibly not helping things. Now that doesn't mean that we're not going to also continue optimization, but it's, as I said on last night's stream, optimization is not a button you can press. It's actually really long-winded, and you can go down and it's really challenging. We've already optimized quite considerably how the trains work, and you wouldn't have dreamed of getting something like this running on an Xbox One not that long ago, to be honest. It would have just been complete fantasy. So it is good that it runs as at all. It's obviously not good that it doesn't run. It still doesn't provide a great experience. So there's more work to be done, but it's trying to work out what that is. But in some cases, it is just going to mean that the older consoles don't go as far as the newer ones are able to do.
Okay, cool. You might have your Discord sounds on again, Matt. That's a really comprehensive answer. I think that from my personal point of view, doing some of these streams, doing some of the previous streams, obviously I've been at the coalface. I've seen myself, Nat, Jamie, have seen quite a lot of what the feedback is going on for a lot of these routes, and I think there has been an acknowledgement from you guys who are watching that we have tried to push ourselves with this. We have tried to do things that we've never done before, try and do things that are going to push the boundaries of what is capable, that the platform's capable of taking. And there are obvious times where perhaps that has led to issues. And I think we're getting to the point now where we are with the rush hour routes. Obviously they are 3 routes that we've released within 2 months of each other ish, something like that, and that's obviously quite a challenging time frame anyway. So I guess there's lots of things for us to learn for next time, lots of things that I don't think we quite know ourselves yet, what the impact of those has been, because we've obviously just got this, we've launched this one route today. So I think there are things that we will be learning from this. There will be retrospectives and boring internal businessy things that go on behind the scenes, where we'll take a look at this and we'll say, actually, did we do the right thing here? But I think we've tried to do things that are different, try and do things that are challenging. And have we got it right every time? No, but I think that there are things that we can take on for future projects.
And take on for future projects, and we'll see what we can reflect back on this one to make the best of this one. So there's it's good. Your feedback is going to be really important about what you're seeing, how you're playing it, and what comes out. Doesn't matter what I shut down, something else pops up, a bloomin' pop-up on my Windows PC. I'm just going to turn the speakers off. Hang on. Because what's happening is that it's coming through my big speaker system, and that's what you're hearing. So I've just turned that off now, and now everyone who's spamming me on one of the various IM systems I'm on can just wait.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll try and go through some questions as well. We'll try and answer what we can. What have we got? Can we get some exterior action? Dion asks. I believe we can. So please turn off Teams. I keep checking my work email. Oh, we don't want that.
That's better. I can hear you again now. Sorry, what did you say? The headlights aren't on. Whoops. No, they aren't on, are they? Matt fails to put headlights on. Tick in the box.
The bingo card is filling up quickly today.
I like to get the bingo out of the way in the first section. And the second one and the third one.
Monty says tunnel cams are in this route. I'm not sure whether that's a question or if that's a statement, but I believe the tunnel cams fix came in for the first rush hour release.
Yeah,
which
first rush hour release
yeah.
fixed it to it. The only one you can't use a tunnel cam on is Bakerloo line, and that's where it was always intended to not work. Every other route now has working. They put the cameras externally in the tunnel like I just did there. There's a reason
90% of it is tunnels, so.
There's the reason I didn't put the camera back in the cab, just to remind everyone. You don't have to put the camera back in the cab. Matt misses a station. Here we go. Next tick in the box.
Dun dun dun.
This is where I intended to stop anyway.
Just
Perfect.
getting as close to the light as you can do.
This is a perfect
Great.
stop. This is exactly where I planned on stopping, yeah?
Close enough. Close enough.
Oh my word, look at that. Okay, I need to make a note of that. That gap is... wow.
And Nat's in the chat as well, also giving you a bit of banter and a bit of grief.
Yeah, I know she is. Cheers, Nat.
Evening all. Driving like a pro, Matt. Question mark. You know that's not a question, Nat. Oh, I think she was actually genuinely asking what was going on. I think she literally just joined the stream. So that was wonderful timing.
Mind the chasm, yeah, indeed. That's that gap is extreme. So this is something to make a note of for me to look at later on.
Goes in the map pad. So yeah, we are in terms of patches and things like that. At the moment we can't say when certain, because we launched it today. So there are things that we are investigating. There are things that we are taking a look and see. There are things that are probably quite easy to fix. There are things that are probably a bit more challenging. And optimization probably falls into that category where it's a bit more challenging to fix some of this stuff. So in terms of timeframes or anything like that, we can't really give any at this stage, but we'd love to be able to, again, get as much information as we can so that then the diagnosis of the problem becomes quicker and we can get fixes ready and sorted more easily. So that's currently where we're at.
Hi, PDX Mark. How are you doing? Long time no speak. Right. Heading off. No, not yet. We're not. Let's do it actually when we're supposed to leave, shall we? Red Hill Platform 0.
Oh, Cameron Young said, I saw someone was commenting that TPWS wasn't working on the preview, but earlier was tripped by a TPWS OSS magnet approaching a red light, which was nice to see. I think you're the first person to have ever said that you're happy to be tripped by one of the by TPWS.
Any chance of driver dialogue in the future? That kind of comes part and parcel with kind of like passenger announcement, and you know it would be nice if when you did a contact dispatcher you actually a bit of radio dialogue going back on with that as well. So it's something where it's of interest we'd like to do, but nothing on the cards at the minute to talk about now. I think it'd be cool. You forget about reds and trying to race trains. Not gonna lie, may have done that myself a couple of times. It may have cost me dearly.
We're not too far off doing that in the stream as well.
Happens all the time.
Daniel said, why does Clapham Junction not have stop markers? I've seen that mentioned a couple of times actually, stop markers.
So there's a number of people mentioning stop markers. If this is a service mode thing, can you go and post on the thread that I put on the forums with full details so that we can go and have a look. If it's a scenario thing, then send me a DM. So that I can get the gameplay team to look into what it is. But the key thing with service mode is update that thread. It worked really well for Dresden, and we were able to see what the issues were and get them fixed, and that's what's resulted in the update that went out recently for Dresden service mode. So let's do that process again. It worked, so we'll do that. Post your feedback in the thread. I put a form in there so that you can just answer all the questions that I need answering, hopefully that will mean we can get to these things quickly. And as I say, someone's already been looking at them. Joe has been looking at some of the feedback tonight. But one of the things he said was there's so many people complaining that are reporting problems, but they're not providing enough information, so he can't do anything with the report, which is terrible. We want to try and fix the issues. So if you follow the format that I've put in there, that will give us everything we need to get in as quickly as possible, identify the issue. Once we have a good idea of what the spread of the issues are, then we can give an update and what they are and when what sort of timescale we're looking at to get them resolved.
Yeah, because it could be one thing that's causing this, causing some of these problems. It might be a couple of things. It might be lots of smaller things. But again, we need to be able to get that information with which to be able to then pull it together into one kind of cohesive package, really. Tracy, I assume YouTube recordings are useful too for bugs. They are very useful.
So in fact, the bug reports that have got videos on them are some of the best, particularly if the video is from the beginning. The number of times that we see a video and all we get given is where it went wrong, and actually what actually went wrong was 5 minutes earlier. So if it's a video from the beginning and then say, right, it goes wrong at 15 minutes and 42 seconds, and then what we'll do is we'll have a look at that and then we'll try and work out where it actually went wrong, and we can just flick around the video and it makes it so quick and easy to say, oh, that's what's gone wrong there, and then we can go and see when we repro it ourselves, we know exactly what we're looking for.
It kind of goes video, pictures, description is kind of the level of detail that is the kind of in terms of a hierarchy of detail. Video is kind of the holy grail, and then you've got pictures which are good, and then you've got text which is probably it's good, but it's obviously not quite, it doesn't tell quite as much of a story as the others do.
You're loving the S&T detail on the route, green AWS magnets instead of yellow, distinct difference between clamp lock and HW point machines. So I tell you what, aside from Joe, we talked a lot about Joe on the timetable because fully deservingly has done an amazing job on it. But actually, the signalling team, in particular, I'm going to call out Ben, has done a phenomenal job recreating the signals on this route and hunting down so much information from such a wide variety of sources because particularly Three Bridges area, there was nothing available. There was a big gap there. We were able to fill some of the gap in with some bits and pieces, and then the rest of it was sort of educated guesses based on what we could find in cab ride videos and alongside Ben's expertise and knowledge with signalling, because Ben's history is not game dev. Ben's history is railways, so he's got a tremendous amount of knowledge he brings to that, and it's really good. I've seen a number of people commenting on the signals, and indeed internally, some of the sort of the higher end, the more enthusiasts, shall we say, were commenting on the signals being spot on. So I do want to call out Ben there. Brilliant job.
I'd love to get Ben on a stream at some point.
I've already asked him, but he's off sick at the moment. Oh. So we will try and get Ben on a stream. He did Southeastern High Speed as well. Hello. Yeah. That's me over speeding, Yeah, so Ben did Southeastern High Speed as well. So and he took on, he did a lot of detail on there as well. There was an awful lot of work went into that. So yes, we'll try and get Ben on a stream.
Wonderful. I think there was a question a while back which asked about pantograph, and does a pantograph actually raise? I believe it does, but it's not very useful.
It won't raise on this route.
Sorry, it won't raise on this route. Yeah, on off the rails it will do.
It should do. I was told it will. If it doesn't, that's a bug. On account of I was told it will. If I was told it wasn't, then it wasn't. But I've told everybody it does now, so it shouldn't.
I think we've had that question every single preview stream as well, haven't we? So I think we've probably said it in a few places.
Nearly at Ryegate.
So we're nearly at Ryegate, yeah. Yeah, so Siki UK Mouse said I saw Megasim do the pantograph on Cathcart, so I know it does work.
There you go.
Thank you, Siki UK, for confirming.
Brilliant.
And thank you, Megasim, for giving it a go as well. Dion has asked, will we ever get a passenger camera in the future?
We've thought about it, so I'm not going to say no. There's no immediate plans. But I get why people want it, so we're going to see what we can do. Because part of the problem is that you're kind of responsible for driving the train, and if you put your camera somewhere else to where you can't see the train, it becomes a bit more difficult. Which is why originally the idea was, well, if you wanted to sit in the passenger camera, then sit in the passenger seat and let the AI drive the train. But I get why people are sort of on longer journeys where you just want to sort of gaze out the window for a bit, and you could just pop back into the cab every now and again. So we need to find a sensible way of doing that if we're going to do it. So we'll have, it's on the list to have a look at, basically.
Yeah. Crazy said that. Although, yeah, you can get up and run away from the controls. Yeah, that's true. That is true. We do let people run away from the trains and cause a bit of a pile up as well, don't we? So
we do. Although, yeah, at that point you're not in control of the train. So
it's true. Dion wants it to be able to admire the sounds whilst being at speed. That's fair. I think there's an audio dimension to that as well then, really, isn't there?
Yes. Right, that's Ryegate. Why no road crossings? I don't know. I'm going to ask and find out.
One of the things that I don't think we've mentioned, or at least since I've been on the streams, is that kind of the whole rush hour set of routes are all kind of themed around different times of the year. And you've got Boston, which is winter, you've got Dresden, which is autumn, and this route is based in a summery time. Obviously with Brighton being a seaside resort, it seemed like a good opportunity to kind of have, I think Brighton was one of the first proper British seaside resorts, so it felt like a good opportunity to kind of go on the more summery vibe. But I wonder, Matt, are you the authority to say about kind of how we've kind of tried to make that a reality within this particular route?
I'll need to check with the team. I think it's mostly been about the scenarios, and just because summer is about having the sort of the rich coloured trees and so forth, and the kind of we've already kind of had summer, and making sure the scenarios are themed in summer. So whereas winter, there was issues with winter, so we resolved those issues. Autumn pulled out the foliage. This one has been much more about just making sure the scenarios and the journey have a summery vibe to them, essentially. So I don't think there's actually been anything specifically creatively done to the route for the summer theme. It's just how we use it and represent it in the game.
Cool. And I realise that we finished the service and now we're on to another one. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, this is a short run back to Red Hill. Let me just switch on all of the comedy moments.
Everybody sharpen those pencils for the bingo card.
We are experimenting with something to make this controller a bit less twitchy. Right.
Andrews, in fact, tell us a little bit about this. The route that we're taking. So I think you kind of got halfway through, Matt, and then you were setting everything up, and then there's a question that I'll take after this.
Sorry?
You were kind of going through, I think, the service that we were doing, and I think you kind of stopped midway through.
Oh, yeah. So this is the Reading to Gatwick Airport, part 1. So we're going from Ryegate to Red Hill, and then you change ends and you run down to Gatwick as part 2. So it's just a short 5-minute run back into Red Hill platform 1 in this case.
Cool. Okay, there was a question about the add-ons appearing for PlayStation 5 players. Yes, we know that is a problem. There is a thread in the forums at the moment which details the situation that we're currently in at the moment. We're aware it's not an ideal position to be in at all. We are exploring some options as to what we can do to try and make sure that everybody has access to all of their add-ons. Nothing is not visible, and that will probably be part 1 of the solution. There is kind of a next step, which is probably the longer term solution, but we're investigating what we could do to try and sort of make sure that at least in the short term everybody has access to what they need to, rather than having to delete bits and pieces. And obviously because of the layers involved, things connect to other things, and we're going to end up in a position quite quickly where it's untenable to ask people to remove routes here and there, because it will impact other routes as well. So we are working on a solution, and when we've got it, we'll absolutely let you know as soon as we can.
I turned the volume down because this train is rather louder. It's nice to have somewhere else to run the 166, isn't it? It's never really been off its home route.
It's got an away day.
I think there's quite a lot of services you can do with the 166 on this route, so it's great to get a bit more use out of this one. Coming into Red Hill now, 20 mile an hour limit. Let's try and do 20 around it. Hey, look at that, spot on. Not going to lie, saw that red light, panicked a little.
I was like, are we going to see it? Are we going to see it? Are we going to see it? Are we going to see it?
And then you saw the 2 white lights under it and thought,
oh, curses! We're not gonna be able to tick that one today. Well, maybe there is time yet.
They use the N166 on NTP as well. Nice. Gareth, less of it. By all means, create a ticket, seat, but I'm more directly connected with the forum posts. There might be a bit more of a lag of the tickets making their way into our system, and I don't want to wait. To be honest, I'll be really honest. I just want to get on and get the team looking at the issues. So, if you post on the forum, that's where I'm directly accessing this stuff.
Yeah, it's a direct line to Matt, essentially.
Yeah, and DM me if you want to. If there's no natural place for it, feel free to DM me.
That's a dangerous precedent, Matt. That's a opens up tomorrow morning 400 messages.
It's no different to normal.
Where was there was a question that I was going to ask, and I can't remember. I can't see where it is now. No, I'm gonna. Will the PS4 get 166 after testing is done? We're talking about layers again. At the moment, there is not a. I'm gonna say. Well, we were investigating an option. We're investigating options essentially, and it's not necessarily going to be something that is specifically or something that we'd look to do specifically for this particular route. But it might be something where we actually set a precedent for what we do for future routes. So, or at least some kind of direction on where we want to go when we're talking about 9th gen and 8th gen consoles. It's not. I think a case of kind of picking and choosing here and there. I think we're going to have to be a bit more consistent than that in how we approach it, and I think we're just going to need to have a think as a team about what the best approach for that is.
Darn you people.
Because it's already complicated enough with the amount of platforms that we've got at the moment, and even having the kind of binary yes or no for this particular route I think has caused quite a lot of confusion as it is. Once we add in Xbox Series 1 gets this, or Xbox One gets this, Xbox Series X gets this, Xbox Series S gets this, it becomes really confusing and complicated. And again, in terms of being able to provide different services for different groups of players, it means that then the amount of time that we've got to be able to test some of this stuff is limited as well. So we don't want it to get too complicated. At the same time, we do appreciate that obviously everybody wants to get the best possible outcome that they can with the hardware that they've got.
I forgot the passenger lights. I forgot to change the lights on the train. I definitely forgot that. Wait for the service to start and then I'll go and fix the tail lights. Where is the passenger lights button? It's the Reading light.
Reading light.
.375 over there. This is our service, the 0841 Gatwick Airport. As soon as I've got the service started, I'll run around and fix the tail lights. I think it's just below the safety systems. Oh, do you mean over here? Oh yeah, train lighting on. Boom, there you go.
There we go. Those are the action points.
How long is it since I've driven the 166? My word. Right, that's now going. Don't mind me, folks. Don't mind me. It's all good. It's all fine.
Again, I just love the speed that you're going. I'm imagining the driver just sprinting down the train and everybody just not even batting an eyelid.
You know how some games where you can only run for a while and then you have to stop and puff for a little bit to get back. We should have something like that, I think. Just to make it so that you can't run quite as far everywhere. It's generally considered a good game dynamic, I think.
Spidey says we've ignored his questions 20 times in a row. Oh, we've not intended to. Sorry. Please put them in the chat. We try and make sure that we answer as much as we can. I've not seen anything from you in the chat, so if you put it in there, then we'll try and answer it.
Is that grass sounds in the coaches? Yeah, it is. I don't know why. M is a route indicator, main, I presume, as opposed to the Ryegate branch line. Who is the VO artist for this one, Silater? It's a gentleman named Andre. He was the same person who did the VO for what tail lights on? For Bakerloo.
Cool. Spidey, I won't be able to scroll up through the chat. I don't think. If you post the question again, that'd be great, please. There we go. Another one for the bingo card, everyone. You're welcome. Andrew, we're going to investigate PS5 Mastery. I think that the Dovetail Live team are aware of it. I'll follow up on that tomorrow morning.
Tail lights. Boom. Competence demonstrated.
Oh, I think you could be racing that one, Matt.
Not in my diesel, I won't. My diesel versus that electric? No way.
I'd like you to give it a good go, though.
I'm on flat out. It ain't got any more. My foot's through the floor. Do they come on automatically? I think they do. I think it works like an auto setting. When you had echoes back stations and tunnels like I did previously, it wasn't a conscious decision to remove them, Fat Frank. So I will. I need to have a catch up with the audio team and find out what situation. I remember there has been discussion about it because 426 caused all sorts of problems with audio. So I'll find out what the plan is for that. Because there's things like there's the clipping, the bad looping of audio on Xbox. There's a number of things that need to be looked at as kind of a package deal. Do you know if Earlswood, Salford, Hawley, Balcombe stopping locations we can stop at in Scenario Planner? I don't off the top of my head, Bonky, so I've not looked at Scenario Planner on this. So if it isn't, then it probably should be. The good news is that's easy to fix. Matt, the pedal isn't an accelerator. No wonder you did that net worth. There you go. Dirt bike for collectibles. I'm a fan, deadly diddly. I'm not gonna lie, we have been joking about that since day one. The quad bike needed to be a thing. There we go, 90 miles an hour.
Ding 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 ding.
And an achievement, there you go.
Andrew Whiteley asks, strange question, do different hardwares have different height limits to the camera?
The free camera can go higher than the Trollo camera. So this camera can only get up to about here. I think the free camera can go higher. That one. No, it can't. I don't know then. Oh,
Nope.
Hello. Oh, okay, I know what's gone wrong there. Stupid thing.
Hey, we're back.
And we're back, and the train is going, where are you? I'm stopping. Yeah.
Oh, I wish, you know what, I almost wish that we'd stayed there a little bit longer and then we could have had a proper Nebworth, but...
Well, I'm not stopping here. Well, I am apparently
No,
now,
I know, but a little bit longer in the sense that we're only 0.9 miles away from Gatwick, but...
Yeah, well, DSD came on and ended my dreams in terms of keeping the run going smoothly. So
Well, we are stopping at this platform now.
we are stopping whether we want to or not because DSD. Now what happened is the my PC that I'm using to look at Twitch chat went to sleep because I'm just sitting here staring at the screen. I wiggled the mouse to break it up again, and it took over the HDMI switch. So handy. Oh, of course, I've got to wait now for the 2 minutes because the brake demand light is on.
Born Magnet has asked, are the crashes on Reese Dresden for Xbox One fixed? There were some changes that we made with the patch that went out on Tuesday that are meant to help with some of the optimization around the Riesa Dresden route. I wouldn't say we're all the way there yet. There are still some things that I know the team are looking at, but it's a kind of a start of a 10. So you might see some improvements, but it's probably not the full works as of yet.
So one of the issues that we've just think we've identified a fix for, we're going to do some more testing to see whether the fix does what we want, is the issue with the BR101 sometimes working, sometimes not being present, and we think that might be causing some other problems as well. So so we have a fix was submitted today for that. So we'll double check to see if that's fixed that issue, and if so, that'll be good. Ultimately a relatively straightforward thing.
Awesome.
Oh, here we go. Brake demand is now off. We can go.
Wonderful. Fortunately, we're still miles ahead of the schedule, which seems very forgiving.
Well, my next signal is a red light, so maybe a yellow light and then a red light. I don't know that. Oh no, actually, that's probably my home signal. I'm coming up now.
So yeah, that'll take you to the station, wouldn't it? I guess.
This
platform.
This will be the home in. So because we're not going any further, this train stops at Gatwick. So
cool. I think that's where we're going to stop the stream as well, isn't it? So we'll do some. We'll kind of any last questions while we're coming into Gatwick. We'll try and answer what we can, and then we'll do a little roundup when we finish up. So Yorkshire Lad asked what the patch notes were for the update on Steam today, because it wasn't really an update. What it was to compress the pack files. So you got quite a large update, the first update that you got, which was for the route, and then there was another update which then compressed those files. So it wasn't really anything that was there to write home about, particularly if you don't own either of the routes. So that's all it was.
Saved you a load of disk space if you have both of them, which is just in London Brighton, and if you're running them particularly on a slower hard drive, quite possibly improves load times because it made them a lot smaller.
Yes. So yeah, it wasn't really a front-facing update. It was more of just something to fix the back end a little bit. Epic Dark Dragon, when will the add-ons be fixed for PlayStation 4? They should already be fixed. I think we put something at the I think it was the start of September. I think we got to the point where we'd done everything that we could. If you're still experiencing problems, Epic Dark Dragon, what we recommend at this point is to speak to Sony, because they've got it sounds like it's a caching issue, and they're able to kind of see what your PSN looks like and what you've got and what you haven't got, whereas we can't really do that. So on your PSN account anyway. So if you submit a ticket to Sony, they should be able to help out with that. They should be prepped. They should know already. So if you're not seeing your add-ons on PS4, then go through that route, and that should help solve it.
Excellent.
Okay, we have finished up with a slight problem in the middle of it, but that's fine.
Good.
Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us. I will do a little bit at the end just to reiterate again what we said a few times throughout this stream. Thank you very much for your patience over the course of the last, not necessarily even just this particular release, but we know that the sort of rush hour routes in particular, there have been hairy moments than perhaps we would like over the course of these releases, and we appreciate your patience, and we appreciate all of your help that has gone into making sure that we can change things as when we needed to, and we've got the feedback that we've needed to try and make sure that we can improve these to the best of their ability as well. Specifically on the London Commuter route, if you are experiencing particularly performance or timetable related issues or service related issues, then head to Matt's forum thread. Please give us as much information as you can, and we will take a look and see what we can identify. In terms of identifying the issue, it becomes a lot easier for us when we can start to make patterns, and we can start to identify, say, if somebody is doing a particular service, or if there is a particular scenario that somebody is or scenario, using the wrong word, a particular set of actions that somebody is putting together that might be triggering something else that we don't quite know about yet. This is all about kind of us fact finding this stage. So if you're able to give us as much information as you can, videos are brilliant, pictures are good, even words are also good as well. Just provide as much information as you can. Hopefully that link should be going in the chat. Thank you, Derek. And we will do our best to make sure that we can get this stuff sorted for you as soon as we can. Now, we can't give any time frames as of yet because we don't quite know what the fixes look like, or even perhaps at this stage what the issues look like. But we will do our best. We'll do our best to keep you up to date, and we will see what we can get done over the course of the next few days. Tomorrow we will be bringing Sam and Matt, another Matt P, but not this Matt P from Rivet.
I got all confused thinking I was streaming tomorrow.
So we've got Matt P from Rivet coming on to talk a little bit about the 1938 tube stock, which will be exciting. So that's a good Friday stream for you, and we'll be back next week. I'm sure there will be a stream that both of us are doing at some point next week, but thank you very much for tuning in tonight. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll do this all again at some point in the future. Thanks, Matt, for joining us.
Thanks very much, everybody. Cheers, everyone. Bye bye.
See you later. Have a good evening.